Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 1951 Argentinian noir El Vampiro Negro, or The Black Vampire. This is a remake of the 1931 Fritz Lang film, M. This has just been recently restored by Flickr Alley and the UCLA Film Noir Foundation. M is such a captivating piece of work, imagistically, narratively, thematically. It's just so dense. I'm excited to see how this film puts its own spin on the original source material. So yeah, let's watch El Vampiro Negro. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. A famous police case. Yes, the case of the vampire of Dusseldorf. Just cavernous architecture. This is already taking a very different approach, perhaps. Well, perhaps it's showing the Beckert character, the M character's initial placement in a psychiatric ward, which is how the police eventually get a trail on him in an M. But this might be utilizing in medias res. Yeah, so we're utilizing a completely different plot structure in this with the in medias res. I don't know if you should be able to argue goodness as a condition for entering into a mental asylum, the capacity for goodness.
Cómo deshacerse de sus víctimas sin dejar rastros. Para esa lucidez, para esa espantosa lucidez, pido la pena de muerte.
And very, very differently from the editing style of Lang, this is using crossfades and a lot of like montages. M has very like strict and intensely edited sequences, but it's all sequential. It's within the map work of like a kind of an Aristotelian ideal. This sounds stupid coming out of my mouth, but it's restrained to a certain place, a certain amount of time. It's a forward path, and this kind of darts in one area to another, to a memory, to a clubhouse. It's more loose with its structure. And already a kind of different filmic style. I think more traditional. This filmmaker, Barreto, is much more interested in human features and the human face than Lang is. Lang is very, very restrictive with how much he depicts human emotions or even human characteristics through the face. Yeah, it's all very out of sequence in comparison to M. If you could say how the different movies like establish priorities through sequence, M begins with the children, it begins with the community, and it ends with the community, with the mothers. And this, it begins with the courthouse, with the judiciary. Oh, that's beautiful. Also establishing the villain through the use of silhouette, like in M. The first shot of Beckert is his shadow trailing a child.
Vi un hombre que arrastraba el cadáver de una criatura y lo tiraba por la boca de tormenta. Fue espantoso. ¡Espantoso!
Okay, so already as an element, this is already kind of dropping one of the procedural aspects of M. M is like so fastidious in establishing like Beckert not leaving behind many clues, and so this is already kind of cast that off in order to portray more kind of like sensational interactions. Just that slow glide she makes towards him, holding in that breath of cigarette smoke just until the moment she speaks. He's a professor in this version. Okay, so this is an interesting characterization. So he like encounters all of these women in his regular life, his day life, that he's perhaps sexually attracted to, that he wants to sexually gratify himself to, and he realizes that based on his I don't know, his impotent pathology, he realizes that through the murder, enacting this same sexual brutalism on little children.
Por favor, Jaime. Porque a la hora que me levanto las noticias ya son viejas.
Pero esta es muy fresca. Lo que viste anoche era cierto.
Gracias. Después hablaremos.
This is already an interesting divergence from the 31 version, that it has these female counterparts. The 31 version is extremely masculine in its characterization, but here we have a female deuteragonist, tritagonist. We have Bernard.
Sepa, señora, que estaba tan bonita mientras dormía. No, no, no. Usted es también muy bonita cuando está despierta.
We have the M character, and now we have Amalia.
Por favor, señorita. ¿Ese es su camarín?
Sí, ¿por qué?
Me interesaría hablar con ustedes en la noche aquí, ¿verdad?
Así es. ¿Quién me ayuda? ¿Y a qué vienen sus preguntas, doctor Bernard?
Yo comprendo que nuestras preguntas a veces...
Okay, so while there are aspects of this that are more conventional, there are kind of similar themes that are running through it, that cooperation is necessary to capture this criminal, that this criminal is operating outside the normal bounds of these different systems, and these systems require an aspect of cooperation with each other, or just like humans require cooperation with other humans in order to rebuff or capture this kind of monster.
¿Arriba?
No. Aquí, en el corredor.
It's a beautiful shot. Again, the utilizing stairs is a kind of motif of threat in this film.
Traigan a cuanto individuo sospechoso encuentren por ahí.
Another reference.
Me trae bombones, me trae flores, me trata como si yo fuera una señora. Me mira y se va.
Okay, so her friend in the cabaret is works as an escort, and Ramon visits her to just stare at her because he has a kind of impotence with adult women.
¿Qué estás esperando para ir?
¿Tan pronto?
¿No me miraste bastante ya?
Yo creía que me iba a invitar a tomar el té.
¿El té? ¿Conmigo?
¿Conmigo?
Y a eso viniste.
And that's gonna drive him to kill. You didn't know it. But your brain did. This is a far, 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 far more sympathetic portrayal of the killer, and I think that's to lend some more credence to the anti-death penalty that the film ultimately will reach. Oh my gosh, I'm spoiling it. And we'll see how that leads to the conclusion of this, if it falls in line with the ending of M. And again, images of elevation. This is also one of the images in his head during the Rorschach test, but we see the up-down created through this elevator, which also showcases the staircase. Already see the shadow there. Yeah, a lot of emphasis on stairs, on elevation in this movie, to kind of to emphasize the threat.
Marinero de un barco mercante. Cierto. Se lo juro, señor.
This is an interesting question. See, this is in this, I'm wondering if this is a tacit affirmation or condemnation of what the police force are doing in this case. They're going down a dead end, this sailor doesn't have any information that'll help them discover the murderer, and they're shown to use brutal tactics, including beating and including intimidation. But I'm wondering if they're saying that this is like necessary in eventually capturing M, or if this is useless. This is them overexerting their power. But it is perhaps showing them alienating their own community and undertaking this investigation, that these people are witnesses, they can help, that they have some information, but because the police force is using these intimidating tactics, they are actually driving away the people that could help them discover the truth.
No sé de qué se trata.
Ya le explicaremos. ¿Conoce a este hombre?
No, señor. Nunca lo vi.
¡Nunca viviste! ¡Nunca viviste! ¿Y ahora viviste? ¿Ahora me conoces?
Cálmese, señora. Nosotros mismos trataremos de arreglar las cosas.
Que elaborar un acta donde consten las relaciones de esa mujer con el detenido.
No, por favor.
Una mujer casada.
Aunque sea desagradable, su obligación y la mía es cumplir nuestro deber.
This is a very, very different movie so far. With the with Dr. Bernard, with the prosecutor, they've established a kind of storyline of him of duty and obligation that is not present at all in M. Okay, so he's got like a Madonna whore thing going on.
Me enloquece esta calma mientras el monstruo acecha en cualquier parte.
Okay, he's driven mad by this tranquility when there's a monster out there. Okay, so his wife is infirm in some way. Okay, so this is very, very, very different characterization so far. This is not the kind of social read that M is. This is more of a psychological read. This is a "you're not so different, you and I" characterization of Bernard and this M character, Professor Ulber. Both have an issue of like repression, and Ulber kind of like realizes he kind of sublimates his repression through these acts of murder, through these acts of violence. He's not as compelled right now.
Un momento.
Oh, he is.
Por favor, un momento.
No podía darse cuenta antes que quería bajar.
¡Qué barbaridad!
¡La puerta! ¡La puerta!
Yeah, so Ulber is a man of unquenched need, of extreme desire, extreme pathology. And him and Bernard are similarly kind of like inhibited in their day life. Oh, it's a sting?
Te portaste bien, querida. Pero vamos a otra parte porque aquí no pasa nada.
That was a close one. Good thing he didn't start whistling. Oh, wow. What a great performance. Just a single teardrop. Jesus.
Are you one of those single tear people?
This actor's like really selling the like repression in this character, just like bottling it all deep down until it comes out in large, violent spurts.
¿Qué venís a hacer esta hora? ¿No sabés que tengo que irme al trabajo? ¿Cómo te hiciste eso?
I like that framing with the mirror.
Adelante, doctor. Usted tiene la virtud de encontrarme siempre descuidada.
Vístase.
Estoy en mi camarín, doctor. Y usted entró sin llamar.
De acuerdo, pero no podemos llevarla así. Las preguntas las hago yo. ¿Quién estaba con usted cuando vio al vampiro?
Nadie.
Ah, quiere decir que lo vio.
This is actually, I feel like this is characterizing Bernard as kind of like sexually threatening in a way that is even more extreme than what they're presenting for Ulber.
No, por favor, no haga eso.
He's got this kind of dormant id in him, this kind of like sexual frustration that he wants to take out on these women.
No fue por mí, sino por mi hija.
And he's exercising it now with a woman that he thinks that he can get away with it. with.
Si me creen distinta, si mi nombre aparece en los diarios,
¿Nada más? No mienta.
se lo juro.
No comprendo cómo una mujer que tiene una hija se muestra así delante de un extraño.
That's none of your business, dude.
Levante la cabeza. No llore más.
Yeah, actually, you know, I'm growing on the idea that this is presenting a narrative that the cops are kind of as bad as the killer. Not necessarily all the way bad, but subject to the same impulses.
Pero lo que no sabía es que estaba tan bien esto.
No dejes que me lleven, no dejes que me lleven.
Ayúdame a escapar de mi amigo el profesor.
Are they both going to be after the same woman? Are both Bernard and Ulber going to be after Amalia? And use the staircases again. The descent. The descent into depravity. Is she going to recognize him? Oh, wow. I mean, that's good script writing to take this chance encounter and have it be a revelation of information. That'd be good.
Dale, callejón. Camine pegado a la pared y conseguirá que no lo vean.
Gracias. Usted es muy buena. Alguna vez le pagaré el favor.
She can recognize his hands? She's gonna see the same silhouette, the same shadow cast on the window.
Sí, aquí abajo.
Estaba en mi camarín.
Acompáñeme.
Yo no hice nada. Yo no tengo nada que ver con ellos.
Solo veremos.
I really don't know if this movie is trying to portray the police force as in some way sympathetic or justifiable, but for me this is like really an ACAB movie. They are really fucking up in every instance. We get our third man, our obligatory third man.
Pues creí en el amor. Y ya ve,
En cualquier momento puede perder a su hija.
perderla. ¿Por qué?
Por la clase de trabajo que usted hace.
Would you
Bastaría
stop?
una denuncia al Instituto de Menores y en ese caso nadie puede.
This guy's a fucking bastard.
La ley es terminante.
Sería una injusticia que me la quitaran. Yo
Punishing
trabajo para ella.
this woman, threatening to have her kid committed to child welfare services just because she does fucking cabaret dancing. He is a fucking cop.
No tengo otra razón para vivir. ¿Y usted tiene hijos?
No.
Yeah, again, the theme of sexual repression going on with him and his wife.
No.
Debe sentirse muy solo, ¿verdad?
Don't say that. You're gonna think he's gonna think that you're leading him on.
Usted también está sola.
This is not ethical.
No,
This
eso.
is not
Eso no.
ethical.
Eso no. No.
Oh, that's funny. Lulu is the name of a character in the Vatican play. Lulu is killed at the end by Jack the Ripper, so it's a similar storyline. I really do not like how much they lean into the like repentant or remorseful killer in this. The film is asking us to give our sympathies over to a child murderer.
¿Cómo era el hombre de ayer? ¿Qué hombre? Ese que silbaba eso que vos cantaste después. Pensá, por favor, pensá. Es el vampiro.
Otra vez.
Oh, she left her daughter with... Oh, yeah, the daughter's gonna be the one in peril. Yeah, he's not gonna be happy to see her.
Señora Cora.
Novio!
¿Cómo?
Oh, it's you.
No. Hay que tener desvergüenza.
No, no. Yo no dije
They got
nada.
this nice little humiliation kink thing going on.
Pero vos te crees que cada vez que estoy en casa podés venir a golpearme a la puerta.
That's true, he really should schedule ahead.
Tengo mucho que hacer para estar atendiendo visitas.
And her humiliating him is gonna set off him kidnapping this girl.
Anda con el profesor, querida. Y no tarden mucho.
Yeah, they take so much, like, they take so much agency out of this version of the murderer, out of Ulber in this version. Like, I think it just overplays its hand a little bit too much.
Ayude al ciego, lápices, fósforos, caramelo. Allá va. Ayúdenme. Ayúdenme. Se lleva una niña. ¡Ay! ¡Ay! ¡El vampiro!
And again, it takes place over a staircase.
La va a matar.
Don't like where this scene is heading.
Profesor, el maestro no quiere porque dice que nos queremos y nos lastimamos. Pero a mí nunca me pasa nada.
That'd be like fucking gnarly as hell, though, if they just ended this movie with him like full on screen committing this murder after working so hard over the course of this movie to try and engender some sort of sympathy in the audience towards him. If they just go full blast and have him murder this child, I think that'd be brave. Mediocre. Trying so hard to get us on the side of this character.
Parece mentira, un hombre tan grande.
Pero ¿cómo pudo hacerte creer que yo quiero quitarle a su hija? No soy de la misma condición que ella.
Estoy segura de que es una persona buena.
Solo fingiendo pudo conmoverte.
With her lies, wow. Dude's got a little bit of a misogyny thing going
No
on.
conoces ni sabes el ambiente en que trabaja.
Solo sé que es una mujer desdichada y tiene una hija. Además, ella es joven, hermosa y sana.
Isana. Madonna whore. Madonna whore. That's an interesting touch, to have the song that he whistles come from a music box. The realization.
¿Qué está haciendo aquí? ¿Por qué tú revolviendo mis cosas?
Fue sin mala intención. Vine a buscar a la niña. Ya me voy.
La niña se queda conmigo.
¿Qué está diciendo?
La niña es mía, nadie me la quitará. Es la única que ha sido buena conmigo, la única que no se ha burlado de mí.
¡Está loco!
¡Váyase!
De que soy su amiga.
Váyase.
He's not gonna kill her, is she? Is he?
¡Está loco!
Okay, so that's why he saw the three of them in the ink blot tests. Don't worry, he's not trying to kill her. This is like she's like the one salvation in his life, apparently, because she blot out his hands when it bled, despite the fact that Rosa did the exact same thing earlier in this movie. So I don't know what you want from that. But Rosa treats him badly otherwise. But he also wants Rosa to treat him badly. Or not Rosa, Cora. Oh, and he's gonna go to the steps that were established in the first shot of this movie. Okay, I understand it now. That's why we were being led on a chase in the introduction of this film. Okay, so he didn't make it to the staircase. He didn't make it to the city hall steps.
Se nos escapará. Es imposible hacer fuego.
Lo ayudaré una vez más. Pero por el amor de Dios.
He really and truly is going to kill this woman in order to save that, and she's going to sacrifice her life in order to save her daughter.
No tenga miedo, Teodoro. La policía no le hará nada si usted me entrega a mi hija.
No, they definitely will.
Para que no puedan hacer fuego contra usted.
Oh, yeah, we're going to go full third man. Okay. You guys, we know he's alive. We see it in the first scene. Do they just have like this one block of sewage system that they could shoot in? They can't get any other shots?
El Vampiro Negro.
Avisar a los demás.
¡El Vampiro Negro! ¡El Vampiro Negro!
El Vampiro Negro. El Vampiro Negro se va para el lado de la torrentada.
And I suppose this is trying to capture that same sense of like the masses, the mob tracking down Beckert in M. Something similar is happening in El Vampiro Negro. we'll talk about it later, but I do want to contrast this treatment that the hobo network in this has towards Ulber to the way that that Amalia treats him on the surface, and just say that there's kind of a binary or dichotomy that's being portrayed in my viewing of kind of masculine versus feminine, and I want to put a pin on that for after the movie finishes. This version of M is such a pussy in comparison to Beckert.
Escúchenme.
Who among us has not sinned?
Siempre estuve solo.
Who would not have done as I have done?
No me maten. No me maten. No me maten.
And by no explanation whatsoever, the hobo network decides to turn him over to the cops. We find him guilty, we sentence him to death. Or are they actually going to go the civil direction and say he's not responsible for his own actions, and we declare him to be sent to the institution?
Señor juez, en representación del Ministerio Público, nuestro jurado, considerando en cuanto se refiere a Teodoro Ulber, el pedido de pena de muerte formulado por la acusación, el alegato de la defensa para que sea internado en un instituto de enfermos mentales, ha dictado este fallo.
Honorable jurado, que representa a la sociedad en base a la cual está constituido nuestro Estado, habiendo reconocido que cuanto se ha dicho a lo largo de este proceso es la más exacta verdad, os condena por mi intermedio a ser suspendido del cuello por una cuerda hasta morir.
Okay, so I want to try and hide my disgust a little bit. Okay, so this film treats the material in a much more conventional way, and I want to discuss how that perhaps does a disservice to the original material. So M in 1931 M is a vast, sophisticated, very deep movie. It has a lot of spinning plates. It asks a lot of questions, not just about crime and punishment, but about how systems interact, how law enforcement acts, how criminal organizations act, how justice is served, how communities are imperiled by crime and by terror, whether or not the death penalty is justified, or whether a criminal is worthy of sympathy or must be blot out for their actions. This takes that kind of vast network and condenses it into a more conventional form, and it encounters a lot of strange byproducts as a result. The movie's priorities shift into things that I would never conceive that M should be about, that I would conceive a regular murder mystery or a thriller to be about, but not M. Not M as I understand M. So in conventionalizing the story more, it becomes a story that's more focused on sexuality for one, which is not something I really think that M warrants at all. It focuses more on internal struggle and human struggles, on the psychology of Ulber, the psychology of Bernard, the psychology of Amalia. Two of those characters aren't present in M in any way whatsoever. There is a lead detective in M, but he's not really given much credence in terms of his character, in terms of his inner psychology. And Amalia doesn't exist in any iteration in M. And so it's a more conventional piece in that it follows more the human drama, the decision of whether or not M will commit, of whether or not Ulber will commit these murders, of what his upbringing is like, why he commits these crimes, what salvation looks like for him. None of these are really suggested for Beckert in M 1931. This movie is also about, in that psychological vein, it's about repression, and it's about compulsive urges, the id, from a psychological framework. M, I'd say, is more about how systems or communities or organizations react to different stimuli, how they react to an attack, how they react to an intruder, how they rebuff that intruder, how they ostracize that intruder, how they try and attack and destroy that intruder. This is about how human beings have deep, dark urges, and what we can do to pacify them, and what happens when we realize them. I think this movie sets out a very stark binary between masculine and feminine ideals, and I think it imposes those ideals with moral values. I think masculinity here is portrayed as dark, obsessive, dangerous. It's all the kind of inherent desires within Ulber and also within Bernard, and it's the feminine ideals, that of innocence, that of incorruptibility, that of chastity, morality, that of perseverance. Those are attributed to feminine characters in this movie and given moral weight as a result. And so there's like a spectrum established of how good characters are based on how much they interact with or cede to feminine virtues or values within this movie, that I think is it's definitely a very conventional thought process, but again, I don't think it has anything to do with M. Film Foundation said that this movie is in every way extraordinary. I would push back against that interpretation. I think this movie is it's definitely doing its own thing. It's definitely not doing M, but it becomes conventional to the degree that it strips any meaning out of M as a particular story. It reduces M down to, here's a serial killer, here's the ledge, here's how far we're going to push you to try and understand him and sympathize with him, but then we as a storyteller understand you as an audience wanting retributive justice for this character, so we're going to hang him at the end. I don't think that really recognizes the story that M is trying to tell in any way whatsoever. I think this is kind of a salacious treatment of that story. I think it's using the exploitative or the dark aspects of M, of the child murderers and the serial killers, and telling a very conventional narrative of good versus evil, of chastity versus sexuality, of inhibition versus compulsion. And it's not, this movie was not for me. I hated the characterization of M, of Ulber in this as being aw shucks, I can't believe I have to do this kind of criminal. It's so passive and so boring in comparison to Peter Lorre's characterization, and to a certain degree it doesn't even matter. Both films are not really that interested in M, in Vampiro Negro, and M utilizes the space that's afforded. It's got like 30% Beckert, and 60% or 66% or 70%, sorry, I can't do math anymore, is devoted to the reaction to the crime, the systems put in place to try and prevent the crime, the systems put in place to try and capture the criminal, the political toll, the psychological toll, the financial and economical toll. And this movie takes like 30% or 40% El Vampiro Negro and 60% just regular drama shit. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna listen to the commentary on this. I'm gonna see what perspective they have to offer to this. I did not love this. It's a really interesting kind of relief painting in comparison to M. It is not M in any way whatsoever. Yeah, that was El Vampiro Negro, the Black Vampire. Interesting to watch as a case study. Maybe you will get more out of it than I did. Anyways, that was M. That was El Vampiro Negro. This has been the two of them in concert. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next time. keep watching good movies. Weird. I was really hoping they would be more equal. Damn.